Welcome to the D Shift Podcast, where we provide inspiration, motivation, and education to help you transition from the challenges of divorce to discover the freedom and ability to live life on your own terms. Are you ready? Let's get this shift started. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the D Shift Podcast. And I am so honored to have my friend and colleague, Rosalind Sedacca, back again. Rosalind is a certified divorce coach, and she's a divorce and parenting coach and founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network. She's the author of How Do I Tell the Kids About Divorce? And create a story guide to preparing your children with love for the whole process. And this book is just such a phenomenal option for families to use. And Rosalind has also been the creator or the founder of Child-Centered Divorce Month in January. And that's one of the reasons we're featuring her on the podcast today. And we're gonna talk about a whole range of topics around co-parenting, divorce, and really helping your kids through the divorce and how to be successful at co-parenting afterwards. So, Rosalind, welcome.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, and you know, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you are such, I hate to use the word pioneer because that makes you sound like you're really old and you're not. But you really are one of the people that was kind of out of the gate recognizing how important it is for parents to do the right thing during the divorce to really support their kids. And I know you've got a story behind that. Do you want to share with people how you got into this area of focus, Rosalind?
Well, thank you. Yes. So I was having a divorce when my son was 11 years old, and I had put it off for many, many years because I didn't want to mess my child up. But finally, I realized the divorce was the best thing for everyone in the family. And at that time, this was back in the 90s, there wasn't a lot of support information and the information that's available today. So basically, my ex and I had to wing learning how to raise my son and give him as good a life as we could despite the divorce. And we did that. We worked really hard at it. And one day my son came to me in his early 20s out of the blue, and he said, "You know, Ma, you and Daddy really did a great job with your divorce, and I want to thank you because most of my friends whose parents divorced either hate their parents or are very angry at them. And I think you two really knocked it out of the park." And I was just caught so off guard and let out a deep sigh of relief because there's a lot of guilt connected to being a parent of a child of divorce. And I realized at the same time that I had learned so much of what to do and what not to do and how to do it best to co-parent effectively that I really had a lot to teach people. And that's when I founded the Child-Centered Divorce Network, became a divorce and co-parenting coach, and started writing several books and courses and programs to help parents before, during, and long, long after divorce.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that because I've said this so many times I kind of feel like a broken record. People who have been through this process, whether and done it well, or people who have been through the process and haven't done it well, but have learned a lot of lessons along the way, quite often find that they end up gravitating towards supporting others. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about what co-parenting needs to look like. And I know we didn't talk about this specifically earlier, but what do you think are some of the signs that you've got a good, healthy co-parenting relationship? Or what are some of the ways that you can set yourself up maybe during the divorce process to have that great co-parenting relationship?
Well, that's a really great question. And basically, I think one of the most important foundational parts of any successful relationship is trust, respect, and trust. And we want that in our marriages, but we also want to achieve that in co-parenting, because if you don't trust your co-parent, who is the only other person on the planet who knows your children as well as you, and you could count on that they love your children like you love your children, then you're missing out on an ally and a partner in this co-parenting experience. Now, there are exceptions. There are people who really are unfit as parents, but we're not talking about that because they're not the majority of people. Most times the both parents really love their children and don't want to hurt them. And that's why I created the Child-Centered Divorce Network, because if you could agree on just one thing, and that's that we love the kids and don't want to hurt them, then you have a foundation to start from where you could co-parent and understand that putting your children in other people's hands isn't nearly as successful for them as when they're with their other parent.
Yeah.
And if you can trust that other parent, then you have more freedom in your life post-divorce to do your work, to start dating and looking for another relationship that's a healthier, more successful relationship, etc. And do right by your children. So you want to be as cooperative as you can be in co-parenting. You want to remember that your co-parenting relationship is not a love relationship. It's not a marriage relationship. It's a partnership. It's like a business relationship for raising your children. And so your focus is on the kids. If you start every conversation with the children and their names, Johnny told me this, Susan doesn't like that, then you're off to a better start because you're not focusing on your feelings, which your ex may not appreciate, but you're focusing on your children's feelings. And that brings you back to where you need to be. What can we do, both of us, to be the best co-parents we can be for these kids? And there's a great question that you can ask yourself. When a parenting question comes along, ask yourself this: would I be making the same parenting decision if we were still married?
Right.
Because if your answer is, I would have said yes, but now because I'm so angry at him, I'm going to say no, then you're doing something that's not in the best interest of your children. You're letting your ego and you're letting other feelings get in the way of clear parenting. Another suggestion is when your children ask either one of you a question in this post-divorce co-parenting world, the best thing to say is, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to talk to your mom or your dad about that, and we'll get back to you. So
Yeah.
rather than making a decision because we all know that children will play sides and take advantage of every opportunity they can get. But if you're even after the divorce saying, I'm not sure about that, let me talk to your father, let me talk to your mother, then the kids understand that they still have two parents who are involved in their life, two parents who are parenting them.
Yeah.
And that makes it a lot easier for them because if they're not pulling you apart, life is easier for everyone to move ahead in a co-parenting relationship.
Yeah, and thank you for that information. And I really like those reminders because you don't and I think this is where I sometimes feel things get muddied. To be effective co-parents, you don't have to be best friends. You don't have to do things together. You don't have to be, you don't have to play for your kids like you're one big happy family. You can
Exactly.
be
Right.
two families in two different households working together in the best interests of the children. And that again, yes, it's lovely if you can do birthdays all together and things like that, but if it's not there, don't force it. But
That's right.
again, being respectful, being civil, and maybe at some point in time it'll be more comfortable for you. And I think that the message you're sending is so important. Roz, what do you see as kind of a tip or a technique or a strategy that you would give a co-parent? I love that, asking that question. Would I make this decision if we were still together as a married couple? What are some of the other strategies you recommend for people that, let's say, they're dealing with a person who's a co-parent who uh maybe is a little bit challenging, not somebody who's hugely difficult or unsafe or anything, but just somebody who does maybe immature behaviors, or maybe doesn't honor time commitments and things like that? How do you manage those
You're
things?
you're frustrated with your co-parent because they don't think like you, they don't have the same values and beliefs as you, and so that's why you're divorced, but that's what makes co-parenting so challenging. One thing to do is when you have a complaint or two, and inevitably those things are going to come along when you talk, is catch your ex doing something right and acknowledge them for it before you dive into all the things that you're upset about, because we could come with a list And immediately one or both of you is going to be put on the defensive. So just say, hey, thanks for picking up Johnny an hour earlier last week. That really saved me a lot and I appreciate it. Or because you did me such a big favor, I'm happy to, do the same thing for you next time this comes along. Whatever it is, acknowledge them for anything good that you could find that they do, the kindest things, because it's sort of teaching them how to behave as well. If you start doing that, they may be more likely to give you a pat on the back, so to speak, and acknowledge you. And even if they don't, you're starting off without putting them on the defensive. So there's this sandwich approach in communication where you start with a positive, the best that you could find, and then you could weave into however, and then talk about the issue that's upsetting you, and then end again with a nice comment, something that's reassuring, so that when you're having communication, it isn't always this tense, horrible thing where you're beating each other up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get that becomes your pattern and that becomes your inevitable co-parenting. Kids pick up on the energy, and it's very important for you to understand that kids pick up on energy. It doesn't matter what you say. You may say, oh, we're getting along great, but everyone knows what the energy in the environment is when you two are on the phone or seeing each other in person. If it's tense, if it's disrespectful, if you're rolling your eyes, if your posture and the way you look, the tone in your voice is disrespectful, we all understand that and we all pick up on it.
Yeah.
And so your children are hurt when they hear that, when they feel that, because they also feel guilty about which parent should I be supporting in this. And sometimes they have feelings for both of you being right and wrong. They understand your personalities. So what we're wanting to do is make life as smooth and easy for the kids as possible. Keep your disagreements away from the children. Make agreements about, let's stop here because this isn't going in a good place. Let's talk again at 8 o'clock tonight. Make agreements about when you're going to talk again, because you do have to finish those conversations. They're important.
Right.
But don't do them around the children, even if it's on the phone or in another room with the door closed, if there's going to be tension. So you want the kids to have the freedom to feel that they can love both of their parents and be loved by both of their parents without feeling guilty about that. So you don't want to be insulting and bad-mouthing the other parent around the kids, to the kids, talking to friends and neighbors about the ex. All of that is hurtful for the children, and that will give you a healthier co-parenting relationship. And most important is to be as cooperative with one another as you can. When you do favors for one another, you're more likely to get favors in return. And the truth is, everyone needs favors in co-parenting because life just does not work like a map. There's going to be emergencies and
Yep.
situations that happen when you're going to depend on your co-parent to do something for you and save the day. And you want to be able to do that as well. It again, it's for the good of the children, and the only agreement you need to keep reminding yourselves of is these are the children we love, and they're going to thank us when they're grown adults for the way we're behaving now.
Yeah. Oh, what a positive message. And that's practical and actionable things that people can do. That's why I always love having you on, because you give us those practical, reasonable tips that just help people take a different look. The one thing I'd like to throw in there too, Roz, is when those little mild irritants are building up in you, I think it's a time to take a look at why is that bothering you so much, and really maybe do some introspective look at why are these things irritating me, and am I making assumptions about the other person's behavior that may not be true? Like, are they really showing up 10 minutes late because they just really want to irritate you? Or throughout their whole entire life, are they one of those people that runs 10 minutes late all the time? We all have the friend that's never on time, right? So
Exactly.
if it's always been a pattern in their behavior, it's a little bit unreasonable for you to expect that they would make a change during the divorce. And I'm sure there's things that you do that irritate them as well. So if we can just let some of the little things go. I know that's easier said than done, but it is something that I think we can individually work on as
Well,
parents.
that's a very important point you're making. And just to add to that, it's so the reason you're divorced is because those irritations got to a point when you felt you needed to move on without each other. So you're not looking for, as you said, co-parenting to be another love relationship. It's not going to be better than your marriage necessarily. But what is important is that we realize that the only person we can change in life is ourselves. If we're still trying to change our ex and make them behave differently. If they're messy people, if they're not on time people, it's not going to change post-divorce. So your unrealistic expectations are totally correct. Be realistic about who you're dealing with and then deal with them in the best possible ways, knowing and understanding, but without the expectation that if you scream and yell and ridicule, it's going to change. People never change unless they themselves want to change. And that's an internal problem that they have to deal with on their own. No matter how frustrated we are with another person, they don't change for us.
Yes.
Wish it was different, but that's not the reality.
And that kind of actually this whole conversation leads us into something I realize we're getting kind of close to the end of the time here. These conversations go so quickly. You have created Child-Centered Divorce Month, which I understand is celebrating its 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
So congratulations for that, Rosalind. Can you
Thank
tell
you.
us a little bit about what that is and how you're celebrating it this year?
Yes, so International Child-Centered Divorce Month is a time when divorce professionals educate the parents around the world about the better ways to approach co-parenting after divorce, divorcing when you have a child, and all the other parts of the equation when you're a parent with children and in the divorce universe. So we're focused on education, tips, and information. And I have a brand new 6-part video series on protecting the children you love after divorce that I'm giving away to everyone to commemorate the 20th anniversary of Child-Centered Divorce Month. So you just have to go to childcentereddivorce.com/CCD month. That's childcentereddivorce.com/CCD month. And there you'll just enter your name and email address, and you'll get to the page where you could watch all 6 or any of the 6 videos that you have in this series, as well as several interviews with experts such as this that are going to be available on the page. So you get top information from the divorce experts that I value, respect, and appreciate, all giving their insights and helping you make the divorce situation smoother, easier, and more rewarding for everyone in the family.
Oh, what a valuable resource. And definitely get Roz's videos. I've seen, I've been a part of International Child Centered Divorce Month for a couple of years. And it is such an amazing program. And I really like the format this year where you can go. I mean, this is an actual course that has been sold in the past for several
Yeah.
$100s, and it is being given away to parents for the whole month of January. So please, if you haven't, if you didn't catch the website, that will be in the show notes below. And Rosalind is just such a fantastic resource. So thank you, Ros, for being here and for sharing all of this. Before I let you go, though, can you tell me or give us your sort of golden nugget of wisdom? I know you have a bunch of them, but what's one thing you'd really like people to remember, especially in this month of January when the focus should be on, as every month of the year, but really focusing on the kids during the divorce?
Well, thank you. And that tip is that you have to remember that you are a role model as a parent. Your children are learning from you. And it's not what you say, it's not the lecture, it's how you behave, what you do. And that's how they learn to be able to apologize for mistakes they made, if you can apologize for mistakes you've made, and how they learn to treat other people respectfully and have character and values that you want them to grow up with. So if you're misbehaving and mistreating your ex, or getting abused by your ex and not setting your own boundaries, your kids are learning from that. And we don't want them to be learning bad things. We want them to be learning the best. And if your ex is not behaving well, they're going to notice the difference between how you are parenting and the other partner is parenting. And so that's going to stay with them. So just remember always that I'm a role model for my children. What are they learning from me?
Oh, Rosalind, what a great way to wrap this up. And I so appreciate you sharing that, because you're right. As all of us grow up and we become parts of our parents, so we want to give our kids the very best example. And you're right. Even if the other parent is not that shining role model, you can be it, and your kids are going to take that. So, Roz, again, thank you so much for being here and sharing this, and all the best of success in International Child-Centered Divorce Month. And please, if you're listening and you have kids and you're going through divorce, or you know somebody that is, or you're co-parenting, make sure that you go grab a copy of those videos and read them, or take a look at them, view them, because they really are going to be a valuable resource. So, Rosalind, thank you.
Thank you, Mardi.
And thank you all for listening to this episode of The D Shift, and don't forget to tune in to the next one. Thanks for listening and supporting the D Shift podcast. If you would like to attend live trainings by our amazing guests and have a chance to ask questions and get answers from our experts, join the D Shift crew. For more details and to sign up, head on over to www.divorcecoachforwomen and click on the podcast page.